Hi everyone, it's Rax, bringing you another guide for Season 27. Here we have the Rathma Necro. Now, the Rathma Necro actually has already been strong. At the start of the PTR, it had the most powerful buff we had ever seen ever, and then it got nerfed. A lot of people got mad, but they needed to nerf it because it was too strong. But a lot of people don't know that it is still incredibly strong. So it's still one of the best builds in the game, and it's the starter set for the Necro. And a lot of times, Necros have not had the best starter sets, so this is a good time to be playing the Necro. There is, of course, the full guide on Maxroll written by none other than Mr. Woody himself. So if you'd like some additional details, go ahead and check out that guide. But let's get into it and see exactly how this godly build that you can start with works. So in order to play Rathma, you guessed it, we need the Rathma set. The two-piece. Your permanent minions reduce the cooldown of Army of the Dead by 0.5 seconds each time they deal damage. Your Skeletal Warriors spawn faster, and your revived minions no longer expire. You make 1,000,000 minions, they hit, it means you can spam Army of the Dead, which is what's doing our damage. Your minions no longer take damage on the 4-piece, and you get 1% damage reduction for 15 seconds each time one of them deals damage. So you get 75% damage reduction. Thank God, because Necros can't survive anything. And the 6-piece, each permanent active minion increases the damage of Army of the Dead by up to 31,000. So we have a lot of active minions, and we deal a lot of damage. Pretty straightforward set. Moving on to the weapons, we have Jessa's set. And real quick before we get into that, about the stat priorities. Honestly, this build, everything is good. Crit, area damage, attack speed, cooldown, even to spawn more Armies of the Dead. So really all of them are good, so we're just trying to get a combination of everything that feels nice and comfy on our character. But if it's pretty much any offensive stat, it's good for us. Jessa's Skull Scythe, the 2-piece, when the target of your command skeleton dies, your skeletons are automatically move. Well, I think that should say sometimes move. When you look at your command skeletons, you need the golden border to be around it. Hopefully it's the same on console, that's the way it is on PC. If there's a golden border around your command skeletons, then they're commanded. And if not, then they're not. You got to learn to pay attention to that. While your skeletons are commanded to attack a target, you deal 400% increased damage. So this is, of course, going to give you a massive damage increase. And then for the weapon, we'll take percent damage, attack speed, and area damage as our rolls. For the offhand, we take the shield, and it's nice that we get to wear a shield. Might actually give us some survivability for once. And we'll take int, crit, elite damage, cooldown, and resource cost reduction. For the boots, we need Rathmas. We'll take int, vit, all resist, and armor to survive. On the pants, we're taking our third set. Yes, we have like a full green Necro here. We're going to take Captain Crimson's Thrust, and it's going to be int, vit, and armor. And we're going to sock it with topazes to get more int. That's more main stat for more damage. Now onto the Crimson Sentence, and you might be wondering, why is this like a teal color? In Season 27, there is a new consumable that drops called Angelic Crucibles. It lets you apply to one of your items that you're wearing. It gives it primal ancient stats, and it gives you a superpower. And luckily, the Necros, one of their superpowers directly benefits Rathma. And you can see it at the top there on the secondary. Enemies within 50 yards are constantly assaulted by Army of the Dead unconventional warfare while this item is equipped. So it's going to give you Army of the Dead perpetually casting. So when you do stuff like T16, you're probably just going to walk forward and everything's just going to die instantly. In the higher tiers, it's not just going to carry you through the rift like it did previously, but it does give you more damage, and it is still strong. So don't sleep on this, it's still really good. And then obviously Crimson Sentence, you deal 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, or triple that bonus if they have a different control impairing effect. So you want to have them constantly slowed and crowd controlled, and then you do way more damage. It's like one of the best items in the entire game, and unfortunately only the Necro can wear it. Attack speed, crit is what we want, and we take Bane of the Trapped for more damage. In our other ring, we have Convention of Elements. This shouldn't be a surprise. This is in like every DPSing build ever. When it rolls around to the different elements, we're going to deal way more damage. In our case, it's going to be the physical rune for Death Valley. Crit cooldown would be good here. Again, if you can't get cooldown, then you could take average damage or area damage or attack speed. Any of those would be good. Here we recommend you go with Esoteric Alteration to stay alive. And you might be wondering, well, Rax, why don't you have a Bane of the Stricken? You could take Bane of the Stricken. However, this build is already extremely good at killing the boss. You usually shouldn't need it, so maybe you could take a Bane of the Powerful instead if you feel very tanky, or a Wildebeest Gizzard. This gem is flexible. Use whatever you want, but try Esoteric Alteration in the beginning so you can stay alive. In the belt slot, we got the other piece of Captain Crimson's. Int, Vit, Life, and Armor is what you're looking for. Onto the gloves, we'll go with the quads, crit, area damage, and cooldown. But if you can't get that, crit, area damage, and anything in the last slot, int or attack speed, any of that would work fine. For the shoulders, Rathma again, int, Vit, area damage, and cooldown is what we want. On the chest, int, Vit, armor, and again, socketing with topazes for more damage. Helmet, int, Vit, crit, and we'll take the diamond in our helmet for more cooldown. On Squirt's necklace, we want physical crit. People always ask, Rax, why do you take Squirt's necklace if you never have the buff up? Take the Squirt's necklace. If you ever get a shield pylon during the rift, with the flavor of time on your follower, you're going to get 2 minutes of double damage. And also, maybe you get an elite or a guardian or a rift guardian that you can dodge their attacks. Well, then you can keep your Squirt's buff up and deal massive damage. And in the gem slot here, we're going to take Zaystone, so we deal more damage when we're far away. Last but not least, on the bracers, we take Bonds of Kelena. Did I say that right? Army of the Dead deals double damage, or double that bonus, against an active target of command skeletons. So it's even further increasing or incentivizing us to take Jessa Set. So whoever you have commanded is going to take massive damage. So try to target it on the yellows or on the guardians or anything like that. Physical int, crit, and that life on hit roll is pretty valuable for staying alive. On to the skills, we're going to start with Bone Armor Dislocation. Bone Armor is usually used in every Necro build just to stay alive. Dislocation with the stun, remember it activates our superpower on Crispin's Sentence, the 300% damage, which is going to make us hit really hard. Army of the Dead, Death Valley, this is what we want to be spamming and what we're constantly resetting all the time, so that's your damage dealer. Blood Rush Potency is to move around, and Potency is going to help keep you alive. Revive Personal Army, we need to bring our revives up. Personal Army is going to give you some damage reduction. Siphon Blood Power Shift synergizes extremely well with Funerary Pick, which is going to give us way more damage, and it's going to make Power Shift do 20% more damage per stack and benefit every skill. So this, combined with draining your health and this cube power, is incredible. And then finally, Command Skeletons, we have to take this both to have minions and also to activate our Jessa Set and also to synergize well with our Bonds of Kelena. And we'll take Frenzy so they attack faster, because remember, our minions attacking impacts our 2-piece and our 4-piece. For the passives, we'll go with Rathma Shield. Can't lose life for 4 seconds after using Land of the Dead or Army of the Dead. We're going to be using Army of the Dead all the time, so that's going to keep us alive. Final Service is a cheat death. Necros have no survivability, so you'll probably need that. Rigor Mortis, poison abilities slow enemies by 30%. This is going to help us keep up our Bane of the Trapped and our Crispin's Sentence, at least the base power of it. And Grizzly Tribute is going to give us 10% life on hit when one of our minions hits enemies. We got minions everywhere, so it's going to help us stay alive. In the cube, we already explained this, but Funerary Pick, Siphon Blood is going to hit 2 additional targets. They're going to take increased damage, or double the damage if it's only 1 target, and it makes Power Shift have 20% damage per stack and apply to every skill. It's just amazing. Fate's Vow, Army of the Dead, deals an additional 250% damage and gains the Unconventional Warfare rune. Beautiful. And Ring of Royal Grandeur completes all of our sets. Now, let's say you're done solo pushing and instead you'd like to do some speeds. I got good news for you. You change nothing. It's exactly the same. Just plug the speeds. Same thing. Now for T16, this is probably going to be one of the funnest builds ever, because remember, with the superpower in Season 27, it's automatically going to be throwing Army of the Dead for you. So you can do some cutesy things like Brig's Wrath, anything uncursed is pulled to you, and then take the Frailty Curse, which auto pulls everything to you. So let's think about this. You run forward, you're constantly summoning your Army of the Dead, and you're constantly cursing and pulling everything to you. It literally means you can run through, and as fast as you can run, everything will instantly die. Got to be one of the most fun things in Diablo 3. And the final touch, this is probably the best RGK in the game. If you don't know what an RGK is, it stands for Rift Guardian Killer. It's the person that kills the boss at the end of the rift. So if you want to play group play and you're playing Rathma, you say, guys, I'm going to be killing the boss at the end. It's pretty much the exact same setup. You need to take a Bane of the Stricken, obviously, to kill the boss faster. You should take Frailty early grave, not only for the boss, but to help out the rift, or help out the group during the rift. And you need to take Swift Harvesting, so your Siphon Blood attacks faster, so you can stack Stricken faster. And other than that, I think the build is exactly the same. And finally, onto the Paragon points. For core, take movement speed first, then put in enough vitality so you can comfortably survive, and then pump all the rest into intelligence. For offense, this should be a 1. Take critical hit damage first, then critical hit chance, then cooldown, and finally attack speed. In defense, take armor, then life, then all res, and finally life per second. And finally, in utility, take area damage, then life on hit, then resource cost reduction, and then the pickup radius. All right, I wasn't able to find any gameplay after they nerfed Rathma, even though it's still really strong. So let's look one final time at how good Rathma was before they nerfed the little superpower to remember the glory days. All right, everyone, let's check out some gameplay from the glory days, which is like 2 weeks ago. Notice how the auto-firing Army of the Dead used to be a little bit too strong, a tad too strong. First of all, it had the wrong rune to it, but you can see I was easily doing 150 as a 1000 Paragon Necro, so that was a little bit extreme, right? But it's pretty similar to this. It's just not quite as powerful. It's not just gonna run around and one-shot everything for you. And you just need to keep your skeletons commanded. You need to keep your bone armor up. You need to do your revives at the beginning. And you pretty much just siphon blood all the time. And instead of taking the curse, you would take your Army of the Dead and be spamming that yourself instead of just relying on the seasonal power. You just run around and enjoy everything dying. I have never seen, I don't know if I've ever seen a build with 1000 Paragon, like a real build, not a meme build, do 150. So pretty, and not just do 150, crush a 150. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to walk forward, you're going to command your skeletons, you're going to summon your armies of the dead, you're going to get your 10 stacks on your Siphon Blood, and you're just going to spam Army of the Dead as much as you can. And it's going to work. It's going to do a lot of damage. And that's pretty much it. And like we talked about earlier, if you do this in T16, all those little automatic summoning armies are pretty much just going to one-shot everything around you. So pretty much as fast as you can run through the rift, they're pretty much going to die. Especially if you take a Brig's Wrath with the curse with a lot of pickup radius. It's going to be quite fun. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. For a long time, Necros have had such a bad start. All of their sets sucked, except for the one season that Bone Spear was good, but then they immediately nerfed that. Necros haven't had a very good Greater Rift Speed solo farmer at all. And when they did, well, it would just be way too squishy, so you just have to do rats or essentially nothing, and a lot of people don't have a rat team. But all of that has changed now, because now Necros have this, and I hope you guys are going to find this to be quite fun. I'm definitely going to have to put this together at some point during next season and see what I can do with it. I'm going to be playing on hardcore, by the way, solo self-found, so I can't trade anything. And I've got to level up myself, so we'll see how strong of a Necro I can make and if I can make them tanky enough to not die. But yeah, I mean, there isn't a whole lot to say here. Another thing I would say is this is probably a pretty good beginner-friendly build. Once you've got the right power, and once you've got the full set, and once you've figured out your survivability a little bit, I don't think you're going to have any trouble understanding this. Once you've got your pets set up, as long as you remember to keep your skeletons commanded, it's pretty much just spam Army of the Dead and channel Siphon Blood. I think pretty much anybody can do that. And again, one of the best things about this build is it utterly destroys bosses. It is probably pound for pound the best boss killer in the entire game. So if a bunch of your buddies want to make, ooh, I just got one shot by that frozen pulse, I don't like that. if a bunch of your buddies want to do some metas later on and you need a really good person to kill the boss at the end, you're definitely their person, because this is the build for that. Okay, so I don't like what's going on here, so I'm backing up for a moment. I need to get my revives back up. I guess this is a good lesson. If you die, you need to get your revives and your skeletons back up. Do you see how I just ran away and I ran back up here to get them back up and kill a couple of easy monsters? You're going to have to essentially reset what you're doing. If you have all of your minions up and everything's going well and your skeletons are commanded and your 10 bone armor stacks, then life is just fine. But when that's not happening, you are in extreme danger. So you're going to have to back up, reset, get everything up, and then dive on in. All right, so here I'm just very content to stay 100 million miles away from them and let my skellies do the work for me. You do not want to go in and challenge them as a little baby Necro. That will be the last thing that you do. I promise you that. Lagging a little bit because it was on the PTR. So we just back up and eventually they're going to die. Again, when we start to clean out the main trash and everything is focused on a single monster, they are going to get vaporized. That is certainly what's going to happen. And it looks like we're finally wheedling these guys down. Wish I could stand in that Oculus ring, but that wall actually probably saved me there. If they would have vortexed me into that molten explosion, I probably would have died. All right, so probably would have been a little bit safer if I had stayed at the top and stayed until some of the yellows had died, but when do I ever do the smart thing? I just dive right on back in and I say, I'm fine now. At least my final service is coming back up, and then also my other cheat death from the Enchantress. Should be in good shape once we get some of these guys down. Remember, we haven't even had a Condi or anything like that. But yeah, I wonder how high this build is going to do next season. I'm not sure if it will clear 150. It's going to get pretty damn high. I can guarantee you that. Not sure if it will do 150. And I wonder... I think the Death Nova is so incredibly strong, it just can't kill the boss. But maybe the Death Nova will get it done as well. It'd be hard to say. I mean, there's always the LOD Corpse Explosion build that nobody plays, even though it's extremely good. I did 150 solo with it last season on hardcore. Or not last season, 2 seasons ago now. Let's see, season 25, when I did all the classes on hardcore. I did it on LOD Corpse Explosion for Necro. But yeah, I think it would have been a little bit smarter of me to not do what I'm doing here. I'm just constantly trying to kite the elites forward. And I think I should have stayed back and killed 1 or 2. This would have helped my survivability tremendously instead of always trying to fight like 4 elites at the same time. So you don't have to be as reckless as I am. You can, kind of methodically, one by one, get the elites down and not be in, so much danger all the time. But where's the fun in that? I'm a streamer. You gotta go for the big risky plays all the time. Okay, we gotta reset here. Huh, if I saw that right, they procced me before I even appeared as a character. That must be PTR lag. But they actually procced me before I even was a person. That's rude. All right, so finally the mob count is down. The question is, will I stay here and not run forward and pull a bunch more mobs? We need to stay here and actually get these yellows down. So it looks like we're finally doing the smart thing and sticking with it. All right, they're finally dropping here. How sweet it is. Oh yeah. Look at our progress. Haven't even used a Condi. Okay, we got 1 more yellow to go. We hop in the up. Pff, instant death. Wow. That's what it looks like when a Necro hits 1 target. Just instantly vaporized. Okay, here we go. Making a little bit of progress here. See how easy it is when you just go nice and slow? Slow and steady wins the race sometimes. How did I just proc there? I didn't even see what hit me. This is the life of a Necromancer. This is why we recommended taking the Esoteric in the beginning. I'm only Paragon 1000 though and a 150, so I guess I should cut Necro a little bit of a break. Okay, here we go. We got some big bogans. They're worth a lot. Die, bogans. Oculus Ring, I'll take that. I love double damage. And once they all target one of them, they die instantly. Very satisfying. One of my cheat deaths is about to come up. I like that. Oculus Ring for double damage. I like that. Conduit. There it is. Could have used that a lot earlier, but better late than never, I suppose. That was actually very smart of me. That was the one time I ever did something clever in my life. I waited until the cheat death came up. It was only a few seconds. And that guaranteed that if the pylon, the Nem delete one-shot me, I would still keep my conduit. So that was pretty smart. I'll have to put that one in my diary as the one time I ever did something smart in my life. Okay, doing very good. Need the Condi to finish off the rifts for me. Do we have any more elites here? We pretty much killed every elite on the map ourselves. Okay, we got some blues over here. This should be really good. And they just got completely melted. And we go next map. It's terrible. I'm sad. But not too sad because we had an elite at the door. That was pretty lucky. I'll take it. Get him, boys. Yep, no chance. 1000 Paragon Necro versus 150. No problem. Okay, just need 1%, and let's see what Guardian we get. You ready to see the best boss killer in the game? This is a 150 solo. Okay, it doesn't count. We got to kill the Vile Bats. Look at this. This is a Paragon 1000 Necro against a 150 Guardian. That is pure madness. I don't even know if I had Bane of the Stricken in here. I can't even remember. I probably didn't. This is just straight up my raw damage. Such a beautiful thing to see. There's no other build in the game that can do this. I don't know, how does this guy have, like, I don't know, a quintillion health? Just getting absolutely shredded. Anyway, guys, this has been the Rathma guide. Finally got a good build for Necros. Ooh, got chopped. Nice try, Perdition. First of all, how did you even hit me? I was nowhere near him. I assume zero responsibility for that death. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you guys like this build. It's going to be a good one. I'll see you in Season 27. Necromancers are going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's get this guy down, though. Come on. Die. Curse him. Sayonara. It's a win. Beautiful.